Good morning, my DIY enthusiast friends. Today I'm going to be servicing a car. This is a really basic series of videos for people that would like to service their car but be a little bit afraid to because they've not really done it much before. Maybe they've seen someone else do it. This video and others in the series hopefully will give you a bit more of an understanding, maybe a bit more confidence, and maybe a feeling that you might be prepared to take some of it or all of it on yourselves. As with all these videos, the risk is yours. You decide whether you want to accept the risk. I'm not going to accept responsibility for what you do on your car. Obviously the safety of your car is very important. If in doubt, take it to a garage. That's the small print over. First video, changing the oil and the oil filter. So on this car, which is a BMW X3 E83, and most cars are pretty similar, we've got a oil filler cap on the top. We've got a oil filter which is underneath here. Often oil filters are actually a metal canister which you can undo with your hand, hopefully. If not, there are some tools that you can buy to help with doing that. And then underneath, somewhere back there is an oil drain plug, which I'm going to have to grovel under there and find. I'll take you with me when I do that. Now, what I have prepared here, get this thing to stand up, is a few things which I think I'm going to need. We've got all the filters that I'm going to do. This isn't just the oil filter, we've got the fuel filter, we've got the cabin air filter, or pollen filter as it's known. There's the air filter for the actual engine as well. I'm going to change that on separate videos. The oil, there's some antifreeze because I'm going to change the coolant. Standard tools I think I'm going to need, and a funnel for filtering or putting in the new oil. Bit of rag, always good to have some rag. So there's a roll of kitchen roll there, just in case things go a bit messy. And there we go, hopefully all going to be fine. So first things first, let's loosen off my oil filter and open the cap. What I have done, I'll point out now, is run the engine for 5 minutes because I needed it to be warm. Now the reason for that is that we want our oil to be warm so that it flows easier. I'll get my phone to stay where I want it. You might actually be able to see the oil. Quite tricky to see it. Let's try again. It's kind of hiding in there. There we go. Right, on this car we have a special socket for this. I'm going to make sure that that can loosen. Yeah, that's okay. Now before, when we're draining the oil, this is going to be released off all the way to allow air to go in, so that air can escape through, and allow all of the oil to drain out. So that I know I can loosen. That's the big socket for this car. I had to buy that one especially for this car. The filler cap is on the top here, which is here. There it is. And that's an anti-clockwise turn, and then it comes off like that. See a bit of steam coming out of there. That's because the engine was run and warmed. Right, now underneath. Now, this car is on a jack, but it's also on an axle stand. There's the axle stand. It's more stable than the camera. There you go. So you can see the jack over in the corner there. There's also an axle stand. And up above our heads, I can get everything to work as I want. And also, hatch. I'll get this telephone to look up at it. It's up here. The phones are not falling backwards. I'll put you over there. 2 hatches on this car. This is a plate that covers the underside of the engine. There's a big hatch here and there's a little hatch here. They access different things. I believe it's this one. It's come out of there, and it's broken the tab off the cover, which is a shame. I don't think I was doing that particularly hard, and that's actually probably the 4th time I've done that, so I'm now going to have to buy another cover if I want this bolt to be protected by a cover, which I might. I'm not sure yet. I'll think about that afterwards. Anyway, the cover is just to protect it from dirt and crud getting on it from the road. Most older cars don't have a cover anyway. It's not going to be critical for the short term. I'm not worried about it. I'll get another one in time if I can be bothered. Right, let's get a bucket to capture this and a socket to go on there. That looks like a 16. Bucket. That's why we need it jacked up. It's got to get enough height. I've got a 16, which is too small. I also brought a 17, which is the right size. There you go. Nice tip for you. You think you know the size, might be slightly different. Choose the next size as well, and you don't have to get back out from under the car. Right. What I don't want is oil going all over my drive. I can see that this is pointing towards us, or towards the phone and the axle stand where you are. So I'm just loosening this off by hand. What I really want to do is catch all of it when it starts to come out. Which means it's hard for everyone to see, but I don't care. Because it's more important to catch the oil than to record the oil coming out of the hole. Right, the oil is flowing out of the hole. I can show you that. There you go. You can see the black flow of oil. Isn't that exciting? Not really, but there we go. We're changing the oil, so it's exciting enough. I'm going to take the phone out of here because this is now going to be really boring while it drains. Now, quick talk on health and safety. Our friends in the industry have discovered that engine oil is bad for you. Don't get it on your hands. Apparently, it causes cancer. Now, I'm taking a view that I only do this occasionally. It's very rare that I get oil on my hands, but it is bad. You shouldn't do it. You should wear rubber gloves to stop oil going on your hands. It also stops you ending up having horribly dirty hands, which none of us really want. So there, top tip, wear rubber gloves. That's the Sump plug that came out. It's got a little copper washer on it that crushes so that it seals the gap between the sump and the bolt. They do sometimes provide new ones of those with the filters. In the past I've actually bought new ones of those. This one looks like it's in pretty good condition, but it should be renewed when you change the oil filter. You want this filter to be loose. Retrieve my socket set from underneath the car, loosen that off. These could be messy as well, but this is why I let the oil out the bottom first, because I wanted to drain most of it, but I've just released this so that it lets air in. It'll help the draining process. Really want this to drain properly before attempt to take it out because it will drip oil everywhere. Okay, so that's nice and loose now. If I lift it a bit, you can start to see the filter that's underneath. Well, I'll show it to you in a minute once it's drained. What I can do is show you the new one. This is a Bosch filter. There's lots of different types out there. Bosch is a name I trust. That's the reason I chose it, not for any other particular reason other than their kind of mid to expensive side cost-wise. That's the filter that will fit back inside there. Doesn't say which way up it goes. Made in Germany, like the car. That's good. And in here, in the bottom of this box, I'm rather delighted to see, perhaps another reason why we buy Bosch, there is a new copper washer for my sump plug, whatever I did with that. And there's a new rubber O-ring seal which goes around the top of the cover to seal it back when you replace it. So, I've got an old box on the floor and I've got my rag. I'm gonna just get a couple of sheets of rag. So I want to take this thing out, but I don't want to get oil everywhere. It's pretty heavy, actually. Make me think it's got lots of oil in it. Ah, interesting. This is in the way. We'll get rid of this. Don't need it here. That's the dipstick. Just put that somewhere safe to one side. That'll allow me to get this out easier. Yeah, it's dripping oil. Messy. Be nice if there was a plastic bag to put this in. I think I might get a bag. See if I've got one. Well, as luck would have it, I've got a bag. And the reason for that is because I bought my oil and other bits online, so they actually put it in a bag when they sent it to me. If I take this and put it into here, it'll stop oil going everywhere. It's probably drained enough. Drip, drip, drip. There we go. Oop. Right. Safely in the bag. You can no longer see. And for videoing, there we go. Right. Filter in the bag. If I grab this filter and pull it off, hopefully it will come off here. Right, maybe it won't come off here. It's supposed to come off here. Supposed to just come off here. I don't remember anything attaching it. Ah, there we go. Just needed to pull harder. Right. I'm creating a bit of a mess here, but that's the inside of the filter canister. Bit of a wipe here. Let's just try and contain the mess. There we go. I'm going to put this one straight on here so that I know it's there. There it is, ready to go. There is the O-ring I talked about earlier, which is on here, which I'm going to replace. So let's just pop that there for a moment. Let's get rid of this because it's a right old chuffing mess. Hold all of that in. My O-rings disappeared. Where's that gone? Oh, it's here, got it. Chuck that all in my box for now. Sort all that later. Bit of drizzle going on. Right. Two things I'm going to do, and they're both in here. Open this. It's windy today. That's the new O-ring. Really important these are changed because they do get flat and there's a risk it'll leak if you just reuse the same one. Try and get this off here. I really don't want to use them. Don't want to damage the housing with a screwdriver, but I'm going to carefully, very carefully put that under there. Just to get, oh gosh. There's nothing ever easy. There we go, there it is. Right. O-ring, okay. That's the O-ring. So we're going to throw away the new O-ring. Most people recommend you use a bit of oil to lubricate it when you put it on, which you can, because otherwise it's dry and it might sort of leak past it. I'm not quite sure why it would leak past it. If it's dry, it will soon get wet if it's not already. There's actually enough oil on here to make it a little bit damp. Just put a drop of fresh oil onto the groove for it. So finger and wipe that around there. Then we know it's got oil on it. Get that onto there. Okay. Looking good. Damp all over. Nothing to worry about. Ready to go. Now, is there much mess down there? There's not much mess down there. We've got a fairly clean hole for our oil filter to go in. Kind of hard for you to see when it goes to there's the hole. There's the filter going in, turning it so it goes down. This is not complicated. I hope you agree. You to see. There it is, there's the top of it. Always a question with this is, how tight shall I do it? Well, actually it was pretty light to come off. There's probably a torque measurement in BMW book that the main dealers use, but we're not privy to that. It needs a certain amount of torque to do it up. The oil on it's quite important at this point because that stops it from sticking while you're trying to get it to go in. It's suddenly stopped. It's obvious it's there. The seal isn't by me doing it any tighter, it's by the ring being there. So I'm just going to do it a little bit tighter. So I know it's easy to come off in the future. It's very unlikely that's going to come undone. It's probably about 10 to 15 foot-pound if you want a sort of approximate measure on there. So that's now done. Dipstick I'm going to put back in there so I know where it is. I'm not going to push it all the way in because I need to fill it with oil. The sump plug needs its new washer. Again, they will say we'll put a bit of oil on it, make sure it seals. You know what, it's going to seal. There is oil all over this stuff anyway. That's the new one, that's the old one. You can't see either. There they are. Bit of rag on this. I think I may have even replaced this sump plug at one point. probably for a magnetic one if it wasn't already. I don't know if it is magnetic. No, it's not magnetic. Magnetic sump plugs are quite nice because bits of metal that are floating around in the engine get attracted to them and stick to them. So when you empty the oil, you get rid of all the particles. This one isn't magnetic. Maybe I didn't replace it. I would have put a magnetic one in. Right, new washer in there, ready to go. Old washer in my box of rubbish, which I'm going to sort through and recycle and everything else. And that's ready to go. Right, what's next? Going underneath. Oh, we need the 17, and we need ratchets. Do it up. Oh, I forget. Epoxy cover is broken. There's a bucket full of oil. Remove that very carefully. That's annoying. Still dripping. Right, well, I'm fed up of looking at this, I'm sure you are, so I'm going to put this in here. Do it up, it'll stop the drips. A bit of oil on there, it'll lubricate it and help it seal. Purists say you're going to have that anyway. There we go, that's in. Another bit of oil on my fingers, still not using gloves. Bad boy, use gloves, don't get cancer. Don't be like me, be better than me. Right. See it stop leaking. 17. I'm going to tighten this up. Similar tightness to the oil filter. It's probably actually a bit tighter, 15 to 20 foot-pound. There it is. You can see it, a bit dark under here, probably can't, but it's a 17mm sump plug and it's not leaking. Good. Oh, I now have a bucket full of oil. Yay! Oil has to be disposed of in a safe and sustainable way. Our local recycling centre has a big oil skip, and that's where I take my oil to. Don't bury it in the garden, don't burn it in a vat of burning oil. Take it to a recycling place where they can get rid of it in the right way. To do that, oil cans from last time, keep hold of them, use them. Right, what's next? I think I can take it off the jack. Let's do that. Out. Nice opportunity to give it a bit of clean around here, just in case there's any erg. Don't get any erg in it, really important. Throw that away. Damp roll of kitchen roll. I'm going to clean the lid as well. Just moving away from the inside towards the outside. Don't want to erg in our oil. Now, when I checked on the internet, I found this engine takes about 5.5 litres, I think. Maybe it was 4.5 litres, I can't remember. Anyway, I've got a litre in here and I've got a new one, exactly the same stuff. This is manufacturers recommend different oils for different engines and different cars. This car has got a long maintenance schedule on it. Manufacturers tried to do this to reduce the amount of servicing costs, because servicing costs are really expensive. So they put in these massively high performance oils to try and get it to last as long as possible. In reality, this oil doesn't last much longer than any other oil. It is better. I'm sure it's the right thing for the engine, but I would never leave it for 18,000 miles. This car is serviced every 10,000 miles or thereabouts, at least an oil change every 10,000 miles. I wouldn't trust it to go to the 18. It's just a way of trying to reduce the servicing costs. Shouldn't need the funnel to get this in because I'm pretty close to the top. I'm just going to pour this litre in to here. There it goes. Sit that there while I get the other one. Now, with oil and the oil filter changes, what you find is that the oil filter, the one I took out, was really heavy because it was full of oil. The new one I just put in is really light because it's not full of oil. So the amount of oil you have to put in the car also needs to include the amount of oil needed to fill the filter. So when you first run the car, it's going to fill the filter. So however much oil there is in the car when you first fill it, it's going to reduce a bit because some will go into the filter. I'm sure I could have said that in an easier way. Never mind, practice for the future. Second can of oil, ready to go. That's going to go everywhere because it's too high. So I'm going to use a little funnel. So if it goes everywhere, it can go anywhere as long as it's in the funnel. I left the filter in the funnel, which means it's going to take forever to go through into the car. That was clever, wasn't it, Steve? Well done. Should have cleaned out the funnel. Just used it without. It's the funnel I normally use for fuel, normally for the lawnmower and a chainsaw. Hello. Getting windy out here. Don't worry, I did clean out the funnel before I put anything in it, so there isn't any crud going back in. Just getting on with it. There for now. Ooh, nice taste. Very tricky. Pouring oil from a height. Be warned. Oh, thanks for that. If you make a mess, mop it up quick. If it goes on the drive, you'll stain forever. If it goes down the front of the engine, it'll stink when it burns off. Didn't expect the rag to get in the way though. That was a faux pas. I'm going to fill this because I had a litre in the old one and there's 4 litres in this one. I'm trying to remember whether it's 4.5 or 5.5 litres to fill it. I think it's 5.5, but I'm not going to risk it. So we're down to a litre in this one. So there's about 5 litres in there. I think I'm going to use this whole rack on top of it. I'm going to check the oil level. That's interesting. Down to the bottom of the stick. Let's do that again. So you can see this is coming up to about here. which makes me think it's 5.5 litres to fill it. No, what we've done so far, 4 in here, 1 in there, 3 used, that's 4 litres in. So you would have thought another ½ litre would fill it, so that would be 4.5. Well, it's definitely over halfway up the dipstick. I'm going to put another ½ litre in this. That would take it to full, about that much. Now I know that some of this is going to go in that filter, as I mentioned earlier. Cap on it for now. This job is now really done, apart from checking the oil again once I've run it. But I'm not going to bother you with that. What I will do though is give you the pleasure of seeing and hearing this thing power up. Bearing in mind it's got a rattle on the front pulley. There we go, nice and quiet. No scary lights on the dashboard. What I will do is plug the computer I've got into this and just reset the service counter, because it's showing that it's got 8,000 miles to go. I'll fill in the book as well, say that I've done the oil service today. And that's it. That jingly noise is the front pulley, which I need to sort out, but otherwise it's quiet. Job done. That's how to change the oil on your car.